Good afternoon and welcome to the Joy Show. I'm Barbara Schreiner Trudell, affectionately called Rev B, and I am delighted that you're joining me today. I want to begin with a land acknowledgement. I have the privilege of working, living, and playing on the historical and traditional territory of many Indigenous nations, including the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, and most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Haudenosaunee nations. Toronto is home to many diverse First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. And we recognize our oneness, we realize our history, and we choose to create a new reality. We are all one. Miigwech. Well, I am so excited to be with you today. I have got hopefully a great show for you today. I am been thinking about one thing, given all the stuff that's going on in the world around us, all of the, different experiences that we're having, whether it's racism or the rights of women being reduced or eliminated, or, well, there's a number of things. The way the media is, expanding the idea of us being going into a recession. Anyway, fear, 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 fear. So I just want to talk about fear today. Only from the perspective that, for the most part, fear is false evidence appearing real. I think that first came out in A Course in Miracles. So, false evidence appearing real. When we think about the things that we are afraid of, when you imagine your day, for example, you'll know that this is true, that a lot of what we worry about, get anxious about, the things that we focus on are future events. They're not even things that are happening right now. It's something that might happen somewhere down the road. And then we add to that by, watching a 24-hour news channel, right? Now, they've only got so much news to fill that time. And so the stories are repeated over and over again. And of course, we just take it in like a sponge. Our subconscious mind is like a sponge. It draws all of this information in, and it doesn't necessarily differentiate between what is a repetitive message of one event, what is real, what is imagined, what is false material, what are we hearing that isn't even real at all. So the journey that we're on, and this show, the Joy Show, is really about finding our own authentic voice, living from our own sense of purpose and possibility. Joy is an acronym for just one you. So I want this show today to be about a practical way of moving ourselves out of the fear model that we've come to know that creates anxiety and distress, and move instead to feeling excited and ready. Another acronym for fear. Feeling excited and ready. Have you ever noticed how when you're afraid, you get this feeling in the pit of your stomach, and when you're really excited, you may get that same feeling in the pit of your stomach? So it's not like they feel different physically, they really don't. So we could change the story and tell it in a new way. So, what I'm hoping to do today is to give you some tools and techniques, things that you can do, practical ways that you can begin to shift this energy for yourself. And the first one is shut off the news, turn it off. I know that might be a big ask. If you're going to watch it, I would suggest you watch it maybe one time per day, max. And maybe early in the day, maybe around lunchtime or something, so that it isn't something you're going to bed with and it's not the very first thing you hear when you wake up. Just, once a day, maybe 30 minutes tops. The minute they start repeating the stories, that'd be time to shut it off. Just a thought, just a suggestion. The reason I say that is because we are really giving a lot of energy to the negative aspects of our world. And I really truly believe that the negativity in our world is less than the positive, that the bad things are fewer than the really great things. And so to begin to change this energy of fear from something that's negative to something that's positive, we can do simple things. The most powerful, the most productive of all is meditation, the practice of meditation. Now, some people figure they don't have time for it. That used to be my story. My minister was going, "Oh, we should meditate." And I'm going, "I don't have time for that. I'm a single mom and I'm going to school and I'm working. Where am I going to find time to meditate?" And then one day, after fighting with it for a long time, I finally decided to give it a try. And a fascinating thing happened. By doing a 20-minute meditation in the morning, I managed to accomplish considerably more throughout my day in way less time than I ever had before. So, really, what happened was that 20 minutes actually added time to my day because it increased my productivity. Meditation. So, what is it? For me, meditation is a time of, kind of quieting the mind and just sitting in the silence for a short time. For some people, it might be listening to a recording that takes you along, some kind of a visualization. It can be chanting, it can be a mantra. There's many, many ways to meditate, even moving meditation. So I invite you, if you're unfamiliar with it, there's lots of videos and things online. There's lots of recorded music online that can be helpful. And there's a lot of people offering meditation classes. So it's a way of really training your mind to give you the space to be more creative and productive in your life experience. So I invite you to consider it. Another thing that I really believe in is what we at the Centers for Spiritual Living call spiritual mind treatment. And it was created by Ernest Holmes way back in the early 1900s. But really, what it is kind of an affirmative prayer. It's a way of speaking truth into consciousness to allow us to change how we think about life and the world. And so it is a positive statement about what it is we truly desire. And we state it as if it's already done. Pardon me. So we're talking about something in the first person, present tense, and we're saying it in a way of, yeah, this is it, it's already done. So I'll give you an example. The first step of treatment is recognition, and that's about recognizing that there is a power in the universe bigger than me. There's an intelligence back of everything, and so I'm going to tap into that, and I'm going to begin by speaking that, right? There's one power, it's infinite, it's intelligent, it's everywhere present, all knowing, all powerful. And that when that starts to feel like, yeah, I'm part of something really big, then I can move into the next step of treatment, which is noticing and talking about the fact that I am one with it. If this intelligence, if the thing itself is present everywhere, at all times, in all ways, then it must be present right here where I am. So I unify with it. And so in that second step, it's like, I am one with this infinite power. I am one with this incredible potential. I am one. And it is in that oneness that means I am powerful. I am creative. I am part of a dynamic universe, and I allow it to move through me with ease and grace. And we allow ourselves to really acknowledge that power that's within us. And then we move into whatever it is that we're seeking to change or alter or fix or whatever in our lives. So the third step of treatment is realization. And what we're doing in this step, let's say you want a new car. So we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the new car, but we're going to talk about the feelings that we believe we would have once we're sitting in the driver's seat. We've taken ownership and we're driving down the highway. So we might talk about it as I am moving through life with ease and grace, with comfort and speed. And I am absolutely delighted, excited, and thrilled as I move forward in this new vehicle. As I live this life I am living, it is easy and comfortable and joyful, and I am grateful. So we're talking about it like we've already got it. So it's like taking a moment and going, let me just sit in it for a minute in my mind. Let me feel it. Let me see what it looks like. Let me relax into it, and then let me speak that as if it's already done. Right? It's got to be done. And then, of course, we move into gratitude. And gratitude makes perfect sense when you think about it. As little children, we were raised to say thank you whenever anybody gave us anything. So there is a pathway in our brain that already goes, oh, you said thank you, you must already have it. Right? There's like we've conditioned our mind in that way. So it's really powerful to sit back and say, wow, I am so grateful. I'm grateful for my new car. I'm grateful for the ease of movement, of running around and doing my errands and things. I'm grateful for the comfort, the luxury, the beauty of it. I'm grateful for the efficiency in the gas, if that's the case. I'm grateful. And we sit in that place of gratitude. And then the final step of treatment is to release this. And so we take the ideas we've spoken and we basically say, it is done. I release this into the law of mind. I release this into the universal consciousness, knowing it is done, and it's done with ease, joy, and grace. And so it is. And so we're speaking in a way that's powerful, positive, and present. Now, I always speak in the first person. And here's the reason why I do that. Not everybody agrees with me, and that's okay. I don't mind. I speak in the first person because there is only one thing going on. There is one universal intelligence, one divine energy that is present everywhere at all points in space. There's only one. At some level, I am one with you and you are one with me. So if I'm doing treatment for you, I'm going to speak your name and then go back to, I am one with the divine. I live, move, and have my being within this. I am health. I am strength. I am vitality. I am love. I am prosperous. I am joyful. I am peaceful. I am filled with love and light. Right? Makes sense? We're moving into a space of not requesting, God or universe to do something for us, but rather acknowledging we already have the potential within us to be all that we think we can be, to create whatever it is we want to create in the world. We already have it all. There's nothing that's been withheld from us. And the only thing that blocks us from achieving our greatest dreams is our own belief system. Some people call it the BS. I kind of like that. Yeah, it's that belief system in us, because there's a belief system that goes, oh, there's not enough to go around, or oh, I'm broke, or I can't afford that. Oh, I'm so sick. We're telling these stories all the time. And the word has immense power. The way we use the word has immense power. And so when we take a look at how we're living and what we say, listen to your conversations. And then if I go back to meditation, here's the cool thing about meditation. When you're sitting in the silence, and you're maybe practicing your breath or saying a mantra, and then you kind of forget and go back to the thinking. What are you thinking about? One of the things I like to do when I'm in meditation is, when my mind does wander, when I become aware that it's wandering, I just check in and go, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about lack and limitation? Are you thinking about frustration and annoyance? Are you thinking about resentment and anger? What are you thinking about? Are your thoughts predominantly negative, or are they more positive? And it doesn't matter where they are. It's about awareness, and awareness is power. So when we can come to understand that I am creating my life. I am creating my life. Okay. My life isn't being created by the government, by the doctors, by the medical field. It's not being created by anybody but me. And if I am creating my life, if there's something about it that isn't working for me, something about it that I really don't like, then I have the power to change it. And how do I do that? One is through awareness. And this is again where meditation can come in, because I become aware of my patterns of thought. And those patterns might be very negative. And if they are, that's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to go, oh, wow, there you go. And I'm going to interrupt it so that I can begin to change it, so that I can start thinking about what I really, truly desire. You see, we have more power than we acknowledge, more power than we even believe. And so it's really about looking at how we've been living life so far and then changing what it is we're doing and realizing that we have the ability to do it differently. We have the ability to create something wonderful in our world. And it just requires a shift in perception. So when we think about fear, because that's kind of running rampant all the time, is, will I have enough money for retirement? Will I have enough money to pay my bills? What if my health goes? Or, oh, I'm not feeling very well. What if it's COVID? What if, what if, what if? Have you ever caught yourself saying, what if this happens? Have you ever saved for a rainy day? Right? Whatever we're doing, we have habitual ways of doing things, and that has created the life we're currently living. If there's anything about this life that I'm uncomfortable with, anything about this life that I'm not enjoying, I have the power to change it. Now, I don't know about you, but I know me in the past, there were days when I'd go, well, it's so and so's fault. If this person hadn't said this or done this, then I'd be better off. It's easy to blame. It's easy to point a finger and go, it's the economy, or it's the medical field, or it's the government, or it's my spouse, my children, my parents, my siblings, right? We've got all kinds of stories of blame that we can go into. But what I want to suggest to you is, instead of blaming an outer influence, to turn around and take back your power. Take back your power. Yeah, it's nice to think that somebody did it to me. Well, not really. But then we don't have to take responsibility. But the joy of taking responsibility is, if I created the discord, the disconnect, the disruption, if I created it, I have the power to change it. If somebody did it to me, I am powerless. Powerless. Where do you want to live? Like, we always have a choice. Where do we want to live? Well, for me, I'd rather live in a place of responsibility where I go, okay, I created this muck. Well, let me change it. Let me move the BS into a bed of roses. Let me shift the energy so that I can begin to experience that which I really, truly want, rather than what's currently happening. And this is without blame, okay? We don't want to blame ourselves for anything, because the truth is, we're part of the collective. And what I mean by that is, we've got 8 billion people on the planet. One subjective consciousness. Everybody thinks in and out of that same subjective mind, that universal collective. So you want to know that whatever the consciousness of your community is, your family, your spiritual community, your city, your country, your world that you live in, just know it's not just you. You're part of a collective. You're part of the race consciousness. I sometimes go into stores and I'll have people say, "Oh, would you donate to breast cancer?" My answer is no, absolutely not. We already got too much of that. I'm not going to donate to it. And really what they're trying to say is, would you donate to cancer prevention or cancer research, but that's not how it's often said. And we want to really check our language, not to police ourselves, but to realize we're part of something. And if that something isn't really working for us, then let's change it. And we have the ability to change our mind. I can't change yours, but I could certainly change mine. I can sit back and look at what's not working and go, okay, let me interrupt that. Let me interrupt the thing that isn't working. Let me stop the thing that's actually causing me pain and suffering, and let me choose something else. I don't have to believe in what's happening on the news. I can choose to ignore it. And you might think that's being, kind of the, putting your head in the sand and pretending life is not what it is. No, the news today isn't really news. It's editorializing, it's opinion. And my opinion might differ from the opinion of the newsreader or the station that's got that newsreader on it. And so I want to make informed decisions for myself. And so I might do my own research and check into things to find out what my belief is, what my thought is, my philosophy of things, because it is my thinking that will create my reality. And I don't want to live in fear. I don't. I really don't. I don't want to be afraid to go out shopping after dark. I don't want to be afraid of leaving my house unlocked. I don't want to be afraid of my neighbors or the people I pass on the street. I don't want to live that way. So I have to look at certain things to go, okay, what do I do that creates safety, that creates comfort? And it's my thinking that will determine. So the name of the show is The Joy Show. So joy is, an acronym for just one you. When we come to understand that I'm unique and special, that all of humanity, every single man, woman, and child, every non-binary, every person that draws a breath is unique and special. If we begin there, number one, we begin to appreciate ourselves better. We begin to appreciate others better. We begin to create more harmony and more peace, more joy, more love. We begin to create an environment of positivity and creativity rather than destruction and disconnection. It's about uniting as one, as seeing each other as connected, as essential, as important. It's about looking at the world from a new vantage point. And I think we all have the ability to do that. We are creating our lives. And I can buy into the fear and the pain and the sorrow, or I can go, you know what? Life has bumps in the road and I'm going to ride them. I'm going to ride them. Not because I'm braver than somebody else, but I've done it the other way. I've lived in pain and suffering. And like the Buddhists say, pain is inevitable in life. Suffering, however, is optional. Suffering is optional. That's when I keep reliving a bad experience over and over and over and over and over again. It's time to forgive, to let go, to move on. And we have the ability to do that. So you're watching The Joy Show. We're going to take a little commercial break right here, and then we'll be back. So please stick around as we share more ideas for creating happiness, peace, and joy in a world that appears a little disconnected. I'll be right back. And we're back. This is the Joy Show. I'm Barbara Schreiner Trudell, and today we're discussing fear, worry, anxiety, all the stuff that gets created through some of the stories we hear, the experiences we may have had. And what I'm hoping to inspire in you today is the possibility that we can do it differently, that we can begin to focus our attention in a new way, that we can begin to celebrate who we are and begin to live with a greater sense of possibility, with hope, with faith, knowing that things are not all bad. The media might make it look that way. We may look around our cities and go, whoa, check out the crime rate. But you know what? It's not as bad as we think. It's not as bad as we think. That really, there is so much good in our world. There's so much beauty in our world. There's so much love that if we begin to focus our attention on that, we begin to see more and more of it in our personal experience. So the law of attraction is such a powerful thing, often misunderstood. And what it actually is that who I am at the core of my being attracts to me matching energy. So if I'm really negative and frustrated and annoyed, then that's what I pull into my life experience. If I'm upbeat and joyful, feeling excited and delighted about life, I pull that type of energy into my life. I am drawn to that which is good and warm and beautiful. And it's really something that all of us can do. We're not as limited as we think. We are actually very powerful. And so we begin to change our vibration by acknowledging that we already are perfect, whole, and complete. Our behavior may not be, however, but who we are is. And so, as we begin to honor the path that we're on, as we begin to see ourselves in a way that's really empowering and exciting, as we begin to journey along the lines of, you know what, the universe is for me. The universe is good. It's loving. It is love, as a matter of fact. It's love and light. And so, if that's the truth, how do I create that in my life experience? And it comes down to words have power. Words have power. And we use words very haphazardly sometimes. Have you ever caught yourself saying, I'm starving? My guess is that might not be true. And you might be very, very hungry. There's a difference. Words have power. We catch ourselves, I remember years ago talking about, I'm so broke, I'm so broke, I'm so broke. Uh, that message is going into the universe, and the universe responds exactly because it's the only thing it can do. And it simply says yes. So, through the law of attraction, everything that happens in my life furthers that idea. So, we want to begin to look at the language we use, the way that we speak and think about life. Okay. So, it's not just what I say, it's what I'm thinking. What are my predominant thoughts? And if you want to know where you're at in life and in the world, just take a look at the life you're living. That will tell you. And if there's an area that needs correction, you have the ability to do that. I recently healed my body. I was experiencing a thing called spinal stenosis, and it was very painful to stand, to walk. And so if I had to go shopping, I had to do it in a wheelchair. If I was wanting to go for a walk in my neighborhood, I couldn't because I couldn't stand for any length of time. So the energy that it takes to exist when you're in constant physical pain is quite draining and really quite hard to live with. What happened for me was I woke up one day and went, wait a minute, there's people who've healed themselves. And if somebody has healed themselves, then anybody can heal themselves. And I just knew I was going to a convention. And I thought, you know what? If I'm going to this place and I know somebody else has done this healing, then I'm having a healing. You know what? I'm going to experience health again. And on the Thursday morning, I walked into the convention hall, listened to the lesson, came out of that meeting no longer needing a walker, no longer needing a wheelchair, and able to not only walk, but work out regularly, go for long, 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 long walks, and to be able to actually do many of the things I couldn't do for the longest time. Stand and cook a meal, do the dishes, little things that many of us take for granted. I couldn't do because I couldn't stand. So the energy of healing is interesting, and it happens in the moment that we change our mind completely, where we have gotten beyond the problem to go, wait a minute, if so and so could heal themselves, I can heal myself. That was the message I gave myself when I headed off to that conference, was if this person could do it, I could do it. That was the only thought I had, and there was nothing to oppose it because I'd seen healing happen. The tools that I'm offering you are tools of shifting perception, of awakening us to a greater vision and possibility for life. It is the opportunity to begin to see the world through a new set of eyes, right? We look at the world and we think what we see is fact, but really what we see is our perception of reality. We are drawing to us through the law of attraction. We are continuously bringing into our life experience whatever matches our consciousness. And so if we want something different, it isn't about saying an affirmation going, oh, I'm health, I'm health, I'm wealth, I'm wealth, I'm love, I'm love. It's nice to do that, change the words. But if the predominant belief underneath is, oh my gosh, life is so hard, I'm so broken, I hate this, I hate that, I hate the other thing, why are people like this? All of those thoughts through the law of attraction will draw into my life experience energy that matches it. The universe always says yes, always says yes. So if it's saying yes to me, what is it saying yes to? And without blaming myself for having a negative thought, or without blaming myself for getting sick in the first place, acknowledging instead, hey, wait a minute, I can do this different. The healing happens in the moment that I accept a new idea, a new possibility. In the moment that I acknowledge and recognize how powerful I am, it is in that moment that I can create something different. And it can happen just like that. It doesn't have to take months and years. It's the minute my mind is changed, in the minute that I can see the abundance of the universe, abundance is mine. The minute I can see health and vitality, I become that. I begin to experience that, express that. So we look at life not to blame or criticize ourselves, but rather to acknowledge, where am I? Where am I right now? Without fear, doubt, or worry, just where am I? Let me be honest with me. It's not about anybody else. Let me be honest with me. Where am I? And when I come to understand where I am, I can then make a choice that will allow me to change what it is I believe about life, what I believe about myself, what I believe about my journey. And the minute I do that, my world begins to shift. And it does it rapidly. And that's one of the most exciting things of all, knowing that I can change my words, I can change my thoughts. Because think about it. Who's thinking your thoughts? I know, it's you, right? Just like I'm thinking mine. And so if my thoughts are all over the place, if I'm feeling scattered and frustrated and annoyed and upset all the time, that upset energy is going to do something. When I think about somebody who's on the highway raging at other drivers, well, of course, what happens is that raises adrenaline and stuff in the body. It, increases our anxiety and everything, but it also lowers our life expectancy. It impacts our physical body. The mind is the builder of the body. And by body, I don't just mean this, I mean the world I'm living in. So if my mind is building my body of experience, my physical body, then I want to make sure that what I think about, where I go moment by moment, that it's powerful, positive, and productive, that I work with others in cooperation and collaboration, that I create community so that I am reminded continuously of the power I possess and the way I can use it. And then when I look at my life, I can go, wow, look what I've created. And I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of different people and to watch healing happen that most of us would call absolutely magic. Like, how did that happen? It's a miracle. What if it's just the natural outpicturing of this one intelligence, this creative divine intelligence? What if it's that? What if it isn't a miracle? It's what happens when I'm in alignment with this universal intelligence, when I live in alignment with my true potential. You know, many of us live our lives according to what our parents wanted for us or what, our neighbors think is acceptable. We'll behave in ways that cause us to kind of shrink ourselves a little bit so that we're not bothering somebody else. I invite you to bother people. Go ahead. Be you. Be who you are. Find your strength, find your passion, find your authentic voice and use it. Use it. Hold to your values and look at the world as something that's really filled with potential. And look at yourself as a remarkable, gifted, unique, precious, divine being in this world right now. And you're here for a reason. You're here to do something that only you can do. And we need it. Not maybe, we need it. Whatever your unique little something something is, your unique gift, it is meant to be given into the world. And whether it's your full-time job or it's your part-time passion, whatever it is, there is something about you that we need right now in order to lift consciousness, to expand the joy, the love, and the peace in our world, and to actually move us into a place of greater possibility. So whatever that is, and every now and again, somebody will say, well, I don't know what my purpose is. And then I generally annoy people by saying, if you knew what the answer was, what would it be? Now, it's funny when I do that because most often I get an irritated look from somebody right off the top. But then as they take a breath, all of a sudden an idea pops into mind and they go, I just had this idea. The thing is, we know who we are. We know who we are. We know what lights us up and excites us. We know what gives us immense joy. We know these things. And because we know these things, we can, in fact, do life in a way to really expand that, to share wherever we go with whatever we do. Find what makes your heart sing and do that. And forget what you were told. Forget what somebody else said is the best thing or the worst thing. Forget all of that because nobody knows you except you. No one knows you. The inside of you, the essence of you, you know you. And fall in love with you. Fall in love with who you really are. The masks that we wear so that we can conform to society, man, that's painful. But we all do it, don't we? We all do it. We wear one mask on a first date or another mask when we're going to visit the in-laws or another mask when we're applying for a job. Like we change our identity like we're changing our underwear and it's causing us some great confusion. I mean, think about it. Who are you anyway? If you're, putting on a different face every time you show up in public, man, that's hard. I did it for years. And life was really, really hard. It was painful. It was excruciating. And then I woke up one day and went, if not now, when? I've entered my senior citizen years. Like, when am I going to wait to just be me, to fall in love with myself, to allow myself to express my thoughts and attitudes, knowing some people will like it and some people won't? It's okay. We can choose to disagree. I'm quite all right with that. This journey called life is an opportunity for self-expression, and it's an opportunity to celebrate our uniqueness, the remarkable thing about us that is so different from everybody else, and at the same time acknowledge that we're all one, that we're individualized expressions of this one eternal presence. And the way we individualize is unique, and it's fantastic. I mean, wow, it would be boring if we all loved the same thing, did the same thing, ate the same thing. Like, oh my gosh, what a place that would be to live in. I'm not really up for that. I like the diversity. I like the different ideas that people have, the agreements and the disagreements. And what if when we disagreed with somebody, we could respectfully listen to their opinion and go, wow, thank you for sharing. And here's what I believe about that. And have them respect it, even though it's different, and go, wow, thank you for sharing your perspective. See, we don't have to agree with each other, but we can be respectful of one another. We can learn to live more harmoniously within our families, within our cities, within our workforce, within our spiritual centers or churches. We can choose to create harmony rather than to disconnect. And this idea of separation is what causes us immense suffering, immense suffering. And we have the power to stop it. There's a TED Talk, a gentleman by the name of Daryl Davis, and the TED Talk is called, why I think it's why a black man attends KKK rallies. Interesting, eh? It's powerful. It's powerful. It's, I don't know, 12, 13 minutes long, but the message is so beautiful. And he met with the head of the KKK, not to change this guy's mind, not to assassinate him, not to bully, nothing. He just wanted to understand. And so they sat and they talked, and they each shared their opinions, their thoughts, their beliefs, which of course were very different. But neither one of them tried to force their ideas on the other, and neither one of them was disrespectful. And they built a bond over years. They built a relationship. It changed things. If you get a chance to watch it, I think it's on YouTube, TED Talk. It's a beautiful story of possibility. And it's what happens when we're secure enough in who we are, in what we appreciate about ourselves, our own gifts and talents, that we are able to actually acknowledge our own unique, exceptional way of being without feeling threatened by somebody else's belief. Daryl Davis's story is phenomenal, phenomenal. American musician who found out about racism when he was a young man, about 10 years old, actually, a very young man, and didn't understand it. And, I had a similar experience as a young child, not as a young Black child, obviously, but I'm being silly. But it was about, I couldn't understand war. And I would watch war movies, and I would listen to adults talk about war and violence, and I was trying to comprehend it, and I read voraciously. I read about the bombing of Hiroshima. I read about World War II, and I'm trying to make sense of it, because in my mind, in my very young mind, and I did this from probably 7 or 8 years old up until I was in my 20s, actually, maybe even my 30s. And the last war movie I watched was Saving Private Ryan, and it made me so angry that I thought, this is absolute insanity, which is what I thought when I was 9 and 10 years old, is how can functioning adults believe that you could accomplish peace by killing somebody? It doesn't work. It truly does not work. And all the reading I did just reinforced the idea that I had that this is insanity. You know, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, look at the war in the world. It keeps happening. And what resolution do we get out of it? Zip, nada, nothing. And eventually it erupts again because we have not learned how to be together. We haven't learned how to respect differing opinions, different cultures, um, different languages, different food, different dress. We've decided that somehow my way is the right way, but what if that's not true? What if we are a group of incredible, beautiful, remarkable people, and that by getting to know each other, we just might create a little peace, a little joy, a little bit of fun. Thank you, Fiona. The idea that we could create a world that works for the highest and best good of every individual. How does that happen? It doesn't happen because I push my beliefs down your throat. It happens because I accept myself as I am, and I choose to accept you as you are, where you are. We've been talking in some of the meetings that I go to with different boards that I'm on, and we'll talk about things like inclusivity. And that's a big topic these days, inclusivity, diversity, that kind of thing. And I'm looking at inclusivity and I'm going, we're really inclusive until we get uncomfortable. We're really inclusive until somebody says or does something that triggers my discomfort, and then I want to change it, get out, leave, whatever. But what if we learned to just sit with the discomfort so that we could honor respectfully somebody else's humanity? I used the example with one group that I was talking to, and I said, well, what do you do if you're sitting in church and a homeless person comes and sits beside you, and maybe they haven't bathed in a couple of weeks and you don't like the smell? Can you be inclusive in that moment? Can you respect that individual and be compassionate about where they are in life and simply be with them? Or are you going to get up in disgust and walk away? When we think about inclusivity, we have to expand what we think that means. Am I willing to be uncomfortable in order to be respectful with somebody else's circumstance? It's a big question, and it's one that we can explore or not, but I think it's so important to look at it and go, can I be inclusive of all people? The ones who absolutely hate everything. Can I sit with that person and just sit with them and hear their thoughts or opinions without trying to force mine down their throat or getting up and walking away in frustration? I love what Fiona just wrote. One conversation at a time, one constructive thought at a time, being inclusive in the moment, embodying compassion. Yeah. I often think about, how would I want to be treated? How do I want to be treated? I met a woman about a year ago. I was in Calgary visiting my son, and we were walking along an outdoor mall, and there was a woman pushing a cart full of her possessions, and she was asking for change. And so I stopped to talk to her for a bit, took some change out of my pocket, whatever I had, and gave to her, and asked her how her day was. And she looked at me in disbelief, like, you're talking to me. And she said, you're being so kind. Most people spit at me or yell at me, And I said, but by the grace of God, I could be you. I think when we come to understand that life is flowing, moving, it's a fluid thing. It doesn't stop in this place of comfort that I want it to stop at. Things happen. I mean, look what happened with COVID. We had a couple of years of being locked in, locked down, and we're still, dealing with the consequences where there's certain products we can't buy and things we can't do as a result. So to think that somehow I'm I'm untouched. I can't be touched by negativity in the world. That's such BS. We want to honor the fact that, what, somebody else. I remember hearing a story of a young mother that killed their child. Well, I'm a mother of four. I understand how that could happen. No sleep and maybe an angry husband or spouse. Things going on that disrupt and I went, whew, but by the grace of God, I didn't go there. Can I have compassion for the person who lost it, who couldn't handle it? Of course I can. I don't agree with it, of course. But can I choose to be with people where they are? And by modeling behavior of love and gratitude and appreciation, can I create a greater sense of harmony in my world? And by doing that, maybe making a positive difference in somebody else's life, which may assist them in creating a change for themselves that elevates their life, their potential, their possibility. If I'm afraid to stand up for someone, if I'm afraid to honor the person in front of me respectfully, if I'm living in fear, then I'm part of the problem. And so I want to heal my fear. I want to come to a place of going, yeah, I'm afraid sometimes. And I know for the most part, unless a tiger's chasing me, most of my fear is a fabrication of my imagination. False evidence appearing real. That's what news is these days. It's an editorializing of concepts that are not even real. They're ideas that are being hoisted upon us. They're opinions. And then it's recycled over and over and over again. And we're conditioned to think that all these horrible, terrible things are happening. And are terrible things happening? Yeah. But to the degree that we've bought into it, I'm not so sure. I meet people every day, and I'm so grateful for the beauty, the love, the joy, the exquisite nature of people. I am so delighted by what I've come to discover when I get out of my own fear long enough to just love. I don't have to like you to love you. I don't have to agree with you to love you. I love you because you're a part of me and I'm a part of you. And thank you, Cheryl. I love you too. There's we're one, like that idea of oneness. That's what we teach in New Thought is we are one with God or spirit or universe, higher power, whatever you want to call it, one. And because there's only one thing, wherever I go, I'm connected to all of it. And how I think about it impacts it. How I choose to see it matters. My daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, shared a story with me that I really liked. And she was talking about riding the subway here in Toronto. And I know they've got them in New York City and in a number of other places in England. And, the subway can be a crowded, busy place underground, but it moves us quickly. So she rides it every day to school. It takes her about 45 minutes to get there. And while she's riding the subway, she'll choose to sit down next to somebody. And she said, sometimes I sit down next to somebody and maybe they haven't bathed in a very long time. And I went, so what do you do? And she said, I sit there. I made my choice. I took the seat and I'm going to honor that. And if it creates a little discomfort in me, I'm okay with that. And I thought, wow, that's a really good thing coming from a teenager to be able to go, you know what, I'm not going to, because of course, if you get up and leave, you know the message you've given to the person you're sitting with. You've told them that somehow they're not okay, and you're leaving them because of that. How we act, the way we behave, the way we look at one another, the unconscious behavior that we have so often, all of it is impacting the people around us. And it's impacting us as well, because the law of attraction corresponds exactly to what I believe about myself and how I view the world. And so I'm going to draw experiences into my life that can be harmful to others. But of course, everything I put out comes back to me multiplied. So if I'm putting garbage out, guess what's coming back? So really pays to be nice. So in closing, I just want to say, I want you to have a little task, and that's to practice random acts of kindness and senseless beauty. Do things that delight and excite and thrill you. Give a smile to a stranger. Hold the door for someone. Help a woman with a little stroller get up onto the streetcar or into the bus. Allow yourself to open doors for people, to smile, to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, to sit back and say, I love you. I met a stranger in a drugstore one day, and we were both looking for the same item on the bottom shelf, and we started giggling that here we were both looking for some silly thing. And he looks at me and he goes, "This is serendipity. This is happening for a reason." I went, "Absolutely." He goes, "I love you." I said, "I love you too." And we had this beautiful exchange. Random stranger. I've never seen him again, had never seen him before, but there was a moment of absolute connection that was beautiful. We have the ability to live from our joy, to live from our excitement, to live from our oneness. I invite you to do that. Most of the fear that we experience is false evidence appearing real. How about we change it? Feeling excited and ready. So I invite you, be you. Everybody else is taken, and you already are perfect, whole, and complete. I love you. You've been watching The Joy Show, and I'm Barbara Schreiner Trudell, and I'll see you again next week, Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Mwah! Bless you.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.